High in the mountains stood the majestic Heavenly Demon Palace, home of the Heavenly Demon cult. Dark liquid swirled as the crimson-eyed man realized this rare medicine wouldn't work either. The old black hat elder bowed respectfully and apologized to the unseen cult heir. From behind, Yun Wunwi told the bowing elder that the energy problem was not simple to solve, looking solemn as he blamed himself for everything. Through a bright, distorted vision, Yun Wunwi blamed himself, believing his poor effort as a student was the cause. From birth, his lower core was broken. His body couldn't hold internal energy, so he poured all his efforts into mystic arts, and having risen to become the Heavenly Demon cult's heir. The elder bowed to Yun Wunwi as he accepted the man's instructions. He realized his entire purpose was to repay his debt to his master, as he knew that the prized Hebei medicine had failed, and wondered where he might find something useful. As the distressed cult heir sat, a leg stepped onto the reflective floor, and Chun Hajin greeted him, noting it had been a long time. Inside a grand building, Chun Hajin asked if all was well since he had been away. Looking serious, Yun Wunwi greeted Chun Hajin, acknowledging it had been a very long time. Yun Wunwi commented to Chun Hajin that his tour around their land must have taken quite a while. Looking contemplative, Chun Hajin realized that both he and the cult leader could not perform their current duties, as he had declared his duty to the Heavenly Demon cult's prosperity. Looking to the side, Yun Wunwi finally understood as he let the leader know he was thankful for his hard work. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed in the darkness. While holding a cup, Yun Wunwi was certain Chun Hajin's trip was far from innocent. With an intense gaze, Yun Wunwi urgently warned someone to stop before they acted foolishly. Sitting cross-legged in his grand chamber, Yun Wunwi was surprised someone would target him in his room. Yun Wunwi spoke, understanding the drink's immense power. Yun Wunwi showed a bloody, menacing smile, holding a bone, and dared others to join them for a drink as he regretted drinking all alone, while a shadowy figure perched on balconies, ready to attack. As the elder realized the trip's true nature, someone gave the order to attack. Yun Wunwi fell to the floor as shadowy figures attacked him, surprised they dared fight him in his own chamber, even after bringing prized liquor. Surrounded by shadowy figures, a masked man with a top knot stood ready, power rising from him. The intruders were shocked to find themselves trapped in an illusion while Wunwi walked away, as he challenged them for trying to kill him in his chamber. As he suggested to them that they should have prepared better, he smiled ominously, blood on his lip, as a dark aura surrounded him. As the fight began, the intruders fell, calling out the cult heir's name. With his arm brimming with power, Wunwi sharply warned them not to defy him. Wunwi focused his immense power, and within the glowing purple chains, Wunwi commanded them to stop. With Wunwi's power, glowing chains pierced and restrained intruders, who then collapsed. Then Wunwi smirked down at them, asking if this was their best effort after all that trouble. With a sly expression, Wunwi looked at the elders standing in the purple mist. With blood on his lip, Wunwi looked up, asking if Chun Hajin or the elders would be disappointed by their actions. Chun Hajin let out a pained grunt. Chun Hajin considered the crane's red beak, a poison powerful enough to melt an entire ox, as he was shocked. Wunwi still laughed after consuming the powerful liquid. Chun Hajin was overcome with fear at Wunwi's immense power. Standing over the defeated intruders, Wunwi told them that he wished he were well enough to strike them down. Looking at Wunwi, shared his disappointment that his dreams failed. Chun Hajin, with Mustache Man behind him, declared he would not let the energyless orphan become leader, stating his superiors had approved his actions. So they quickly attacked Wunwi. Smirking subtly, Wunwi observed how easily the elders were scared and questioned their choice to attack him together after giving him poison. Chun Hajin pointed a finger up, defiantly telling them to continue their talk and blaming the cult heir for the situation before dismissing it, and Wunwi demanded to know the true mastermind. Chun Hajin's face twisted in rage and confusion at the same time. Then Chun Hajin reacted with shock, insisting that the elders had made this decision together, but Wunwi declared he lacked the courage to do anything. Wunwi continued speaking, wondering if this was the master of black spirits and skulls, and whether powerful masters were involved, but then he dismissed the thought. Looking away, Wunwi accused the elders of taking outside orders to kill him and selling out the cult, and asked if the elders' actions also caused his master's current condition. Chun Hajin glared, angrily denying the accusation, and light surged from the old man's hands. Wunwi stood with his purple aura as Chun Hajin rushed towards him. Wenhui then saw their response proved him right. He declared a fool had finally betrayed their master. Chun Hajin's light attack caused chaotic debris to fill the area, and Chun Hajin pushed Wenhui into a corner. Injured and bleeding, Wenhui held his ground as Chun Hajin, despite his dislike, acknowledged their shared master and Wenhui's position as acting leader. Chun Hajin looked down, power still in his hands, declaring he would personally end the other's life. Wenhui's voice then questioned whether he had planned everything and was just faking it, and claimed that his foolishness had made him a puppet for others. From off-panel, Chun Hajin angrily threatened Wenhui with a painful death as he roared in rage, blood flying. Chun Hajin, filled with determination, vowed to correct past wrongs and secure the cult's prosperity, and Wenhui smirked at his determined foe. From his bleeding face, Wenhui let out a powerful grunt as his purple glow intensified. Wenhui, bleeding from his mouth and neck, laughed despite his wounds. As the fight intensified, the warriors took combat stances, enveloped in a purple glow. Injured and glowing brightly, Wenhui told his opponents they still didn't understand him despite their long conflict. Standing in the damaged room, Wenhui warned his enemies that they had forgotten a key detail for killing him. An injured Wenhui looked up. He wondered why he was still defiant. Chun Hajin's glowing red eyes widened in surprise, as if recognizing what lay before him. As a gloved hand held a sword with a red pommel, the hooded dark swordsman was shocked, recognizing it as the demon dragon's sword. As Chun Hajin looked on in surprise, a gloved hand gripped the hilt of a sword. A hand gripped a sword, prompting the braided scar elder to indignantly ask why he still caused trouble, even at the end, if he would not allow any tricks. Immense power emanated from the sword's pommel. Wenhui sat down, overwhelmed, on the ground as they covered their faces, since it was glowing brightly. Chun Hajin was surprised by the immense mystic power already gathered, and as the intense purple energy pulsed, he questioned if what he saw was real. Wenhui smiled sinisterly, blood staining his mouth as raw power surrounded him, and stated that he had to put all the mystic power in the demon dragon sword, which contains the will of the first heavenly demon. With a menacing grin, Wenhui revealed he had been building his strength to defend against their futile attacks. As power surged, Chun Hajin fearfully urged the elders to take a defensive stance and use their energy quickly. The ornate sword hilt pulsed with immense, gathered power. With the sword glowing intensely and cracking, Wenhui declared its power could no longer be contained. Amidst the overwhelming energy and menacing shapes, the technique known as the soul-combusting hellflame art was revealed. The raw power then violently impacted several figures. Chun Hajin's face twisted as he powerfully roared Yun Wenhui's name. The intense power of the technique now warped the stormy skies above the Grand Palace. The immense power tore open a deep chasm that stretched towards a distant light. The released power tore through the surroundings, scattering everything in its path. Under the dark, snowy sky, he acknowledged his life, no matter how difficult it had been. As snow fell around him, the blood-stained man considered that this was not how he expected to die. Heavily injured and bleeding, Wenhui looked down. Amidst a desolate, snowy mountain landscape, Wenhui felt this moment was strikingly familiar to a past day. Wenhui and his group stood on the pathway, looking down with dark amusement. Lying injured on the ground, Wenhui defiantly declared he would spare his opponent, calling them a ghost-seeing wretch. The smirking bun man warned Wenhui not to accuse him of carrying an evil spirit again, promising he would make it a terrible time. Despite his bruised face, Wenhui looked down as an unseen voice scoffed at his broken core, claiming they would have given up long ago. Wenhui intently examined the glowing rock, as he believed BFSF merely stating what was seen many only enlarge hatred. His hand clutched the rock, for merely existing in such a brutal world demanded immense willpower. Figures moved with incredible speed, leaving light trails in their wake. The thick-browed fighter, smirking slightly, looked forward, saying the recent exercise had made him hungry. He knew he wouldn't just sit idly by. Wenhui sat exhausted in the snowy landscape, catching his breath as he realized his enemies were truly ignorant. With a grim look in his eye, Wenhui pondered when one should ever give up. Ghostly figures appeared, telling him he was a lost spirit just like them. A man saw Wenhui stating that he had special eyes, causing him to be startled by the unknown man's sudden, unperceived appearance. Wenhui observed the fur-collared man's expensive clothing and ornate sword. With a resigned smile, Wenhui looked down, knowing his pursuer had come specifically for his cursed eyes and was free to take them. He lived a life where receiving hatred and disrespect felt completely normal. Looking down at Wenhui, Still on the ground, the unknown man wondered if he could simply take it, and Wunwi stated that he looked like a master of martial arts. Then he told the man that he didn't know if these eyes could act as medicine for his powers, as he suggested that he pull them out, boil them, or grill them, but then the man put his sweater on Wunwi and explained that those eyes are no curse. The man declared those special eyes were a blessing. He explained that some people are born with powerful energy centers or unique spirits, and such children always grow up to achieve great things. Wunwi felt that those sweet words were a deception. The man stated he possessed the ability to become uniquely special. Scratched and stunned, Wunwi felt a warmth he had never known before. Then the man asked the young man if he would join him, and Wunwi quickly confirmed that salvation was near. The man asked his name, and Wunwi answered that he had none. As they watched the snowy sunset, the man declared he would commemorate the day he first met the Wunwi. So, he then suggested a new name for him. Wunwi knelt in the snowy wasteland, despairing that he had done all he could for his master. As he felt it was too pitiful to die when his master's energy deviation was caused by his own flawed body. Wunwi realized only a desperate method could save him. Then Wunwi, brimming with immense power, prepared for a drastic action. Wunwi learned the forbidden art that allowed souls to transfer to other bodies. Wunwi activated a golden magic circle, using the demon dragon sword's power, leaving the spell's fate to the heavens. Having activated the forbidden art, Wunwi saw a distant ornate building in the bright, dusty landscape as he pleaded with its master. The golden magic circle he activated now glowed with intense light. In the dark void, an unseen voice wondered if he understood. As the magic swirled, a thought surfaced, questioning his purpose in approaching the clan head. In the dark void, an unseen voice found it very annoying that the concubine's son should keep a low profile. Wunwi pushed himself up, his body numb, as a screeching sound pierced his painful awakening. Wunwi's eye widened in surprise, wondering if the forbidden soul transfer art had truly succeeded. Filled with surprise and determination, he confirmed his rebirth. A woman in purple robes stood over the unconscious him, holding a stick, urgently calling out to him and demanding he get up and listen. While Wunwi was surprised that the body that he had shared the same name as him, his mom got mad that he had been emphasizing this since earlier. Because of that, her mom got mad, and he swung his stick, daring him to defy an adult. But Wunwi managed to grab her wrist, stopping her attack. Still defiant, Wunwi looked up at his mom and told her to move her face away due to her bad breath as he dared to call her an old hag. Infuriated, his mom continued to lash out, outraged that he would defy her instructions, then accused him of calling her an old hag. His mom caused a forceful impact from the door, telling Wunwi that he could not leave until he understood his mistakes. Bruised and exhausted, Wunwi finally found some peace as he realized the woman was this new body's stepmother. As he looked at his tattered clothing, Wunwi realized the soul transfer art only worked on bodies that had just died or were dying, as he was shocked that she had beaten the child to the brink of death. Wunwi realized his new life might be just as pitiful as his old one. Bruised and weary, Wunwi lamented his new body's poor training and frail health, and as he lightly touched his shoulder, he mused that such weakness was likely the cause of death. Looking intently forward, Wunwi realized this new body held an advantage his old one lacked. As light emanated from his chest, Wunwi realized it was a lower energy core. Wunwi realized he could gain immense power by combining new martial arts with his previous mystic skills. As the sword was surrounded by power, his eyes could control the dead. Standing seriously in a blue robe with a scarred chest, Wunwi stretched out his hand, affirming that only then could he truly protect his master. With power emanating from him, the man vowed to punish those who betrayed him and the heavenly demon cult. The powerful Sichuan Tang clan, a group ruling Sichuan, is one of Murum's 6 great clans. To their west, there is Tibet, where the Padala Palace is, and Qinghai, where the Kunlun section is. To their south, there are the Heavenly Dragon Temple Jiangtsong section and the 5 Poisons section. Lastly, to their north is the front line of the Central Plains Murim that opposes the heavenly demon divine cult. Under the glowing moon, there stands a group that leads the Tang kin in the vanguard, the Tempest squad. Under the dark, stormy sky, among the silhouetted figures on the battlefield, was the leader of the Tempest squad, known as the Tempest swordsman. From the ready Tempest squad, a swift cone-hatted figure named Tang Hosen rushed forth, and with them, the Tang clan established a new Nine Dragons branch, the Nine Dragons Division. The commerce and strategic hub of Sichuan Murim, Nine Dragons Country, the Tang Patriarch, Dark Supreme Tang Munhyuk, entrusted the division to Tang Hosen, whom he had deep faith in. In the Tang clan, Tang Hosen had 3 heirs. 2 were children he had with Namgung Sanyung, his legal wife. They were his first child, Tang Kyujin, and his third child, Tang Yuchong. His second child, however, was born to a servant due to a drunken mistake. He was reincarnated as the illegitimate child of this clan. Within the clan, Wunwi was treated a certain way by others. Hyungsum furiously questioned someone's words to the matriarch, stating that even Wunwi, the illegitimate son of the branch family patriarch, was still an heir candidate, a point Wunwi, looking down, considered. Hyungsum yelled at a calm man in blue robes, complaining that food was banned from the white pavilion, which would starve everyone, and that someone had been disrespected by a servant. Hyungsum angrily ordered someone to beg the matriarch for forgiveness, saying she would relent after some punishment, but he was hit by a powerful blow. Wunwi attacked, sending Hyungsum in a head wrap, violently flying backward. After the blow, Hyungsum, in the head wrap, grimaced, complaining he was only trying to be kind. With glowing red eyes, Wunwi loomed over the fallen man, warning that he could not help him if he kept acting this way. Despite the attack, Hyungsum warned that hitting him again would bring trouble from the matriarch as he pleaded for the attack to stop. Hyungsum cried out his apologies. Wunwi then urged Hyungsum to do the right thing, citing his connection to his mother. Despite his swollen and bruised face, Hyungsum assured him he would never forget his kindness and that of the second madam as he vowed to serve them even harder. Wunwi made Hyungsum promise to immediately get what he wanted. Hyungsum bowed deeply, promising to return right away. A loud bang then echoed. After the harsh beating, Wunwi examined his hand, frustrated that it stung so easily, and questioned his own strength and realized his weak body, lack of clan allies, and unique cultivation technique were significant obstacles. It's a party due to the matriarch bullying him. It would be difficult to move around within the Tang clan at this rate. So Wunwi decided to accumulate inner energy, then show what he was capable of, although the problem is the Tang clan energy that was in this body. Since Master's Heavenly Demon 9 Slashes is a demonic art, he couldn't use it with the cultivation technique of an orthodox faction. However, there must be many cultists within the Heavenly Demon Divine cult who came from the Tang clan and have been around for 1,000 years, and this would put a lot of stress on Tang Wunwi's upper meridian since his body hasn't been trained. Wunwi began a glowing spiritual process, channeling memories into his naturally large upper meridian, and decided he would copy it from reality into his mind and then make it real. A subtle glow appeared around Wunwi's eye, hinting at a new resolve. This intricate, glowing blue structure was the very place to manifest his unique cultivation. He was at the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult, Millennia-Old Secret Archive, and Heavenly Demon Archive. Wunwi then spoke, glad his reincarnation technique didn't erase his memories. A closer look revealed the glowing structures of the ancient Heavenly Demon Archive. Wunwi held the Venom Dragon Cultivation Technique book, understanding it was the most fitting method for his unique situation. A monstrous, spiky figure lay on dark ground, connected to the Tang clan's poison group, who joined the Heavenly Demon Divine cult after their expulsion, and belonged to the cultivation technique made for mastering the demonic cult's poison arts. This specific cultivation method used poison energy, not the standard demonic type that the Venom Dragon Cultivation Technique planned to use. Tang clan methods as a base for the Heavenly Demon Divine cult's martial arts. Amidst the Tang clan's fight against the demonic cult, and even among the orthodox factions, some groups were known to use poison in special ways. Lost in thought, Wunwi realized that using the Venom Dragon Cultivation Technique would prevent the Tang clan from suspecting him. Back in his room, Wunwi endured the agony of embracing the poisonous energy, realizing that to replenish his poison, he would need to consume even stronger toxins. But Wunwi had a new thought. Now, with glowing purple eyes and a sinister smile, Wunwi had finally put his upper meridian to use and realized his unique eye had opened. Now with his unique eye open, Wunwi's eyes glowing purple, he smiled directly and questioned why he was still being stared at. As the black-haired man glanced over his shoulder at the shadowy figures, he remembered how handsome he had been in his previous life and felt a bit embarrassed by their prolonged stare. They were the senior Cheon and the other distraught, chained elders. An enraged Chunhajin with a white beard yelled Wunwi's name, as he remarked that people always thought Wunwi was crazy, as he angrily questioned how he, the vice cult leader of the Heavenly Demon Divine cult, could be in such a state. while the other elders got infuriated and demanded him to release them from the chains, and warned him that he wouldn't be able to handle their wrath. Smirking, he calmly shared how happy he was to see their reactions. The elders, chained figures, angrily confronted Wunwi about his unchanging personality, declaring it was the cause of their rebellion. Shattering his chains, Wunwi warned his would-be killers to be ready for what was coming, and Chun Hajin cried out as he was forced to his knees. Still distressed and chained, Wunwi asked if he already knew what ability he had. Then Wunwi summoned his Phantom King. Wunwi stood with his glowing purple eyes, radiating a powerful purple aura as he was amazed by the power he now felt. With Chun Hajin still chained on the ground, Wunwi warned him he would not reincarnate and would soon grow impatient. Still held captive, Chun Hajin clenched his fists, utterly frustrated by his predicament. Still glaring defiantly, Chun Hajin believed Wunwi was after information, as he thought he could offer his knowledge, but Wunwi declared he did not need it. Chun Hajin looked surprised as Wunwi stated he had many sources for information. Wunwi stood over Chun Hajin, extending a hand as his unique power manifested. And Chun Hajin's fearful eyes widened as Wunwi's shadowy hand approached. Wunwi's unleashed power began to consume the elder's form. Holding a glowing white sphere, Wunwi told the elders it was a wraith sphere, explaining that the elder's essence warned it was filled with the extreme resentment of the dead, making it far more vicious than any poison. With a menacing expression, Wunwi opened his mouth, intending to make the glowing sphere his nourishment. A powerful sound then erupted. As Wunwi's power consumed the elder's form, 3 other elders reacted with open mouths in shock. Wunwi cried out in pain as the power continued to consume him. The elder remained hunched as Wunwi's power consumed him, shocking another captive that he was still standing as someone recalled how he unleashed chaos despite eating poison. Then, Wunwi smirked and stated that the vice cult leader Chun Hajin had become fertilizer for his venom dragon cultivation technique, as he suggested they make their choices, and if they would spill everything obediently. The elders were devastated upon hearing it. Crushing skull-like objects, Wunwi questioned the heavenly demon divine cult elders for obeying orders from an organization called the Association. The distressed elders loudly affirmed they were telling the truth. Having absorbed the elders' power, Wunwi looked down pensively, realizing that an unnamed organization's problems were its members. Distressed spirits pleaded for Wunwi's trust as a grand building under the full moon was revealed as the heavenly demon divine cult, an unorthodox group that worshipped its leader. Before a grand temple, a dark figure stood with the gathered elders of the divine cult, who worshipped the heavenly demon as their god. Wunwi realized these injured elders and distressed spirits had betrayed the heavenly demon and attacked him, the cult heir, fearing another organization even more. Wunwi then wondered if an outside force had been manipulating all the major groups and was made up of masked individuals. Reaching into a stormy, lightning-filled sky was a tall, spiky structure known as the Tower in the Skies. Under a stormy sky, silhouetted figures with glowing weapons and orbs stood, revealed as beings who had surpassed mankind and aimed to climb a tower. Beyond the elders' fears, 2 powerful, silhouetted figures now stood under a stormy sky and revealed one of the powerful, demigod-like figures that the elders feared like a natural disaster. From the ornate room, Wunwi realized the mastermind was far stronger than he had first thought. Wunwi sat in deep meditation, consolidating his new power. Wunwi then considered the invaluable time he now had to adjust his poison, and knowing he would slowly adapt. Wunwi then declared he had no time. 2 months later, the story continued in the Matriarch's room. An object shattered as Matriarch furiously asked if Wunwi had been given any food. The Matriarch furiously questioned Hyungsum, demanding to know why someone was still living normally despite her clear orders, and the Matriarch angrily raised her arm, demanding that someone should have been begging her for forgiveness in less than 3 days. The Matriarch worried about rumors of her killing someone and committing treason, distressed by rumors. The Matriarch sighed, questioning her bowing Hyungsum about the Patriarch's request for political information, particularly on unorthodox and demonic factions. The Matriarch, looking suspicious, thought about his immense change and new interests over the past 2 months. With a stern and suspicious expression, the Matriarch secretly wondered if someone was truly influencing him. A dark, smiling figure with glowing red eyes extended a hand, thinking Wunwi, despite being useless, could gain a clan position by impressing the Patriarch. While a puppet was controlled by strings, she believed many sought to influence Wunwi, attention that should instead go to Kyujin and Yu Chong, as she believed a cursed person was daring to take it. In her room, the matriarch was surprised as a startled man entered and a bowing servant announced Master Yu Chang's arrival. Hyungsum informed the seated matriarch that he had completed his isolated training, and the matriarch dismissed him with an order to immediately report anything unusual about Wunwi. Yu Chang approached the matriarch at the table, smiling as he asked if she was well. The matriarch welcomed Yu Chang to sit, asking if his hard work had brought the growth he sought, and told her that he was nearing mastery of hidden weapons, and the matriarch proudly praised her so for his accomplishments. Yu Chang changed his expression, sharing that he had heard news about the illegitimate heir on his way, then questioned his mother about someone still not repenting for their disrespect. The matriarch held her head, distressed by Wunwi's mysterious actions. Then, Yu Chang suspected Wunwi had found help, and her mom asked if she also thought that way. With arms crossed, Yu Chang doubted anyone could last 2 months without sustenance or much inner energy, as he suspected that Wunwi was secretly being given elixirs. The matriarch clenched her fist, confirming the thought was her own, as she was unsure who was supporting the heir. Yu Chang then surprised the matriarch by suggesting Wunwi join the patriarch's visit, causing her to question his decision. With a smile, Yu Chang wondered if Wunwi's larger schemes would force his hidden manipulator to act. The matriarch thoughtfully touched her chin, suspecting someone was giving Wunwi elixirs to make him seem strong, as she declared that the person trying to take credit for Wunwi's actions would soon show themselves. Yu Chang affirmed they would handle everyone once the perpetrator showed up. Seated at the table, the matriarch worried to Yu Chang that Wunwi's antics would make the patriarch think they couldn't control him, but Yu Chang questioned how much the illegitimate heir could achieve, regardless of the perpetrator's actions. Yu Chang looked smug, feeling confident about their plan as he would stop Wunwi like a loving brother if he caused trouble. From a traditional building, a clear, purple mist began to drift. Wunwi confidently stated that any tricks from the hidden helper, whose skills were limited to basic clan arts, would fail, as he asserted that even low-ranking servants could learn such things. As they sought Wunwi's secret, a formidable purple dragon-like energy manifested. Wunwi sat in meditation, his unique power visibly manifesting around him. Lying in bed, Wunwi, with intense eyes, looked at Hyungsum, learning that the demonic cult had suffered a civil war for 6 years. 2 months ago, he had told Hyungsum to gather recent history about the martial world. Wunwi considered that his reincarnation method made time feel much longer. His training over 6 years had achieved far more than anticipated. 6 years of this despair went by. Wunwi reacted in surprise to news of something missing, as Hyungsum explained it was a demonic cult trick that caused chaos because the heavenly demon's return was uncertain. He wonders if the master might be alive. Wunwi looked down as he processed the news, and a slight hope then emerged that his master was still alive. Wunwi desired to immediately rush to Tian Shan, as he knew that he lacked the power, information, and means to do so. Wunwi then realized he still lacked the strength, information, and resources to achieve his goal as his fist clenched with surging power. Wunwi inwardly stressed the crucial nature of such intelligence. Wunwi, now empowered, moved swiftly through the brightly lit room as he believed the traitors were doing everything they could to find their master. Wunwi knew he needed information as powerful as anyone else's if his master remained unfound. Wunwi then thought of the Tang Patriarch's upcoming visit to the Nine Dragons division. The Sichuan Tang Patriarch was revered as one of the 10 strongest masters in the world. After 6 years of intense training, the dark-cloaked figure now radiated a powerful, dark energy. A shadowy figure told a crowd that the powerful Tang Munhyuk, the Dark Supreme, was rumored to be forming a special security division. As Wunwi looked to the side, he realized joining that division would let him use the Tang clan's network, as he believed his chances of finding his master would increase. A small, spider-like creature, surrounded by small round objects, spoke, noting he was close to mastering the 12 beats of the violent tiger. Following 6 years of intense training, the powerful martial art called the 12 beats of the violent tiger was revealed. Wunwi then learned of an advanced basic technique, one often taught among vagabonds. Wunwi, empowered by his training, unleashed a martial arts technique as a glowing tiger head appeared. He had mastered a martial art that turned half his body, including his fists, palms, fingers, and feet, into deadly weapons. He then thought about strengthening the body through extreme training. He maintained his serious demeanor as he realized purifying his body required the venom dragon cultivation technique and spirit pills. Wunwi, now visible in a close-up, wondered if it was the big pill again, and he quietly admitted the tight security made its task very hard. Wunwi threatened the distressed red-eye six-leg, warning it to work properly or be turned into a spirit pill, though he was convinced it had already given its all. As Wunwi consumed some unpleasant pills, he pressed his spider-like companion for more details, specifically about the Dark Supreme's location, and his companion informed him of Tang Yuchang's return from training and the Dark Supreme's unconfirmed visit. Wunwi gestured towards the red-eye six-leg, commenting on Tang Yuchang's timely arrival before the Dark Supreme's visit, and then asked if that was all. From above, the red-eye six-leg thought it had seen a secret meeting about Wunwi. Wunwi then urgently questioned what was heard about Namgung Sanyang and Tang Yuchang's secret meeting concerning her. Wunwi, arms crossed, realized his relatives planned to eliminate him during the Dark Supreme's visit, believing a mastermind was secretly helping him. So, Wunwi observed that someone was certainly fabricating elaborate tales and considering his recommendation to the security division, as he understood that the plots to humiliate Wunwi were unexpectedly creating an opening for her. Wunwi looked surprised as Hyungsum, a man in a ponytail robe, entered and he invited him in. He questioned a steaming bowl of dark liquid, as a man explained it was a tonic sent from a lady. Hyungsum delivered a tonic to Wunwi, explaining it was from the lady for his recovery, which the suspicious Wunwi accepted. Wunwi drank the liquid, expecting it to be a harmless poison, but then reacted with surprise. Wunwi determined the elixir's powerful ingredients could boost energy, but would cause toxicity if consumed heavily, as he had expected. As Wunwi's power continued to surge, a menacing aura enveloped him as he realized the tonic he drank contained cinnabar poison. The red-eye six-leg furiously realized the Namgung clan woman had given cinnabar poison to the young leader, believing the lady had used dark magic on the young leader. Wunwi silently ordered himself to quiet his thoughts and find out who was advising the lady, and the red-eye six-leg eagerly affirmed its task. Holding the bowl, Wunwi wondered if the tonic was a lunacy poison meant to turn him into a puppet, while also reflecting on the hidden helper's skills in delivering it. Wunwi, having consumed the tonic, questioned why he was still lingering, and Hyungsum stammered that a martial master sent by the lady was waiting outside. Wunwi looked surprised, questioning whether Wunwi was a martial master. Standing on a grand plaza, a dark ponytail man named Tang Gon stated he was the martial master assigned to Wunwi. Looking tired, Gon told him their time together would be brief. Waiting outside was the fierce wind warrior, Tang Gon. He was a major contributor during the Tempest squad's battles, and one of the top 5 masters in the 9 Dragon Branch family. The martial master sent by the lady arrived, letting out a dramatic yawn, which made him question why this seemingly lazy person was now his superior. Gon told Wunwi that he would train him for 4 days before the clan head arrived. Wunwi believed Gon had only accepted his current situation to avoid helping with the festival preparations. Well, regardless, this woman astounds by having a master like Tang Gon be his teacher. She creates the impression that she does indeed care for her stepson, and she wanted to control him with sorcery to shame him in front of the clan head. Wunwi then realized that the lady's every action was part of a larger scheme, and he asked what he would be taught. Gon explained that a new martial art set awaited Wunwi's training. Wunwi questioned what was set, and Gon firmly told him to watch closely. Gon stood on a tiled surface as a demonstration was about to begin. He demonstrated a movement technique around him by creating multiple shadowy duplicates of himself. Wunwi observed the movement technique, noting how it allowed one to move like a shadow. Wunwi's eyes widened, realizing what martial technique Wunwi was using. Wunwi realized that the lady's every action was part of a larger scheme, and asked what lesson she intended to teach him. Gon then explained how this technique formed the very basis of young Master Yuchang's Shadow Shroud arts. With his companions behind him, Wunwi faced forward, frustrated by the lady's plan to show off her son's skills by comparing them to his. Gon's explanation of the Shadow Shroud step was perfect for using poison or hidden weapons. Gon continued explaining that Wunwi just needed to follow the footsteps he had left on the ground. Gon demonstrated. Wunwi observed the glowing footprints, realizing the movement was like a shadow despite leaving clean prints, and considered the martial master truly deserved the name Fierce Wind Warrior. Gon smiled and gestured, concluding his instruction on the Shadow Shroud step and urging Wunwi to practice it diligently as he announced he was leaving and to speak with him if Wunwi had any questions. Wunwi interrupted, declaring he had already mastered the technique. Gon then let out an exclamation of disbelief. Wenhui then declared to the surprised martial master that he had just learned the Shadow Shroud step. Gon explained that Wenhui couldn't possibly understand martial arts, as he had never learned them before. Still surprised, Gon then explained the Shadow Shroud step was incredibly difficult, noting even elite squad members took 10 days just to learn its basic form. Gon confidently stated that even he, a genius, needed 5 days to master the step, whereas truly understanding the technique would normally take 3 months. Wenhui sarcastically wondered about anyone calling themselves a genius. Wenhui asked how long it normally takes to learn, and urged Wenhui to practice. Wenhui, with a smug look, confirmed his complete understanding. Gon, covering his face in shock, tried to explain that the technique could not simply be copied. Wenhui then challenged the master. Wenhui held up 3 fingers, wagering 30 silver coins to prove he had truly learned the Shadow Shroud step, leaving Gon shocked as he repeated the number in disbelief. Wenhui, with a slight smirk, looked at the stubble ponytail man, expressing surprise that he was finally paying, as he suggested a proper wager should be worth at least 3 months of wages. Gon looked down in thought, then cleared his throat to remind Wenhui that the Shadow Shroud step was a priceless martial art, born from the Tang clan's very spirit. Wenhui coughed into his fist, questioning the idea of a wager on such a matter. Wenhui's eye widened in shocked alarm. From behind, Wenhui hunched over and jeered at the master, calling him scared and reminding him of his slow progress, before declaring he would simply continue training on his own. Gon sharply commanded them to halt, then acknowledged Wenhui's talent for provoking him, accepting the wager as a fee for disrespecting martial arts. Wenhui, still confident, then pressed the master, asking if he had accepted the wager, as he making it clear there was no backing out of their wager. Wenhui faced the martial master in the courtyard, and told him to begin the demonstration. Wenhui's eye widened with intense focus. Gon looked utterly shocked, asking how it was even possible. Wenhui smiled slyly as the martial master spoke to him. As Wenhui held a heavy bag, he questioned if they were preparing for drinks and noted how heavy it felt. Gon looked distressed and surprised, realizing his own coins were truly at stake, as he expressed utter disbelief. Gon was utterly shocked by Wenhui's rapid learning, angrily claimed it was a trick and demanded to know when he had learned the Shadow Shroud step, and Wenhui furiously questioned how it could be a scam, explaining that he had just learned the technique and never had a chance to learn martial arts before. Gon, visibly frustrated, questioned how Wenhui had mastered the technique after seeing it only once. Wenhui, with a smug face, questioned if the master would always deny the obvious outcome, as he asked if he wanted another round. Wenhui asked if Gon had any other martial arts, finding them boring. Gon's face twisted in anger as Wenhui suggested his brilliance made the wager too easy. Wenhui watched him storm off, mocking his lack of confidence, and Gon vowed to quickly return with more money for their wager. Wenhui then declared to the martial master that he knew even more difficult secret arts, and dared him to follow. Wenhui smirked, knowing the master was quite flustered after a martial arts novice copied his move and lost his money. Standing on a desolate battlefield, Wenhui thought that even without direct martial arts training, his past as a cult heir meant facing many powerful enemies, as he that noted they had been renowned martial arts masters. Wenhui then thought that remembering basic martial arts forms was simple, and there was even more to his skill. Wenhui smiled with satisfaction, holding his coin purse as the floating spirits celebrated his unmatched cleverness. An elder spirit clings on Wenhui's arm as he considers how he could achieve the impossible against skilled opponents. Wenhui then thought how simple it would be. From a distance, the angered master watched as Wenhui menacingly declared he would now empty his new, as he confidently stated he had vast supplies of money and martial arts. 4 hours later, Wenhui swiftly performed the soul-chasing butterfly technique. In a swirling light, Wenhui was bewildered by money raining down, wondering if this was the Tempest dozen spins. After 4 hours, Gon screamed in distress as golden coins floated around him. One spectral elder pitted the martial master's misfortune with Wenhui, remembering his own suffering, as another ghost groaned. Gon, kneeling in distress, had no more money to offer, while Wenhui stood confidently asking if that was all. With a sly smile, Wenhui then proposed one last wager. After 4 hours, Gon declared he was now completely broke. Reaching for the money bags on the ground, Wenhui explained his reasoning. Wenhui proposed an all-in wager, surprising the Gon, who then questioned if he intended to make him a slave, a claim Wenhui quickly denied. He gestured, admitting that he had one special martial art he couldn't easily copy. Gone, having lost all his money, Wenhui now declared the challenge to be the Tempest dance. Wenhui called out his name, causing him to be surprised. Gone unleashed a mighty force, sending Wenhui reeling from the impact, then declared that other martial arts might be one thing, but the Tempest dance was something entirely different. Gone then stated he was the very essence of the Tempest squad, and claiming that even bringing up the Tempest dance for a wager was an insult to the Tempest squad and their entire 9-dragon division, and told him to stop speaking of it. With the Gone looking serious, Wenhui clarified he was truly the powerful, fierce wind warrior of the Tempest squad, despite his lazy appearance, as he asked if he was forbidden from learning the Tempest dance. Gone, with his eyes closed, then confirmed Wenhui had every right to learn it as the branch family head's son, as he explained that sharing the technique with Wenhui was acceptable because he had already taught it to the first daughter and third son. Wenhui clarified that he was not talking about bloodlines, as he asked if he truly believed he could learn the martial art. Gone looked surprised, beginning to question him. As an intense aura surrounded him, Wenhui acknowledged the master's formidable identity as Tang, the Tempest squad's fierce wind warrior. With a clenched fist, the master furiously questioned if Wenhui thought he had what it took to be a Tempest. Wenhui passionately questioned the very mission of the Tempest squad. Gone's face was set with fierce determination. After that dreadful loss, they were for a time like gentle winds. However, they shall become true Tempests once again. He then pondered the Tempest's mission that he had kept secret in his heart, as his deep commitment to the Tempest squad's purpose was clear, as he found it shocking to hear such confident words from Wenhui, whom he considered the weakest heir. Seen from behind, Gone admitted that the Tempest squad's mission stirred his heart, then pointed out that it was Wenhui who had suggested a wager on the Tempest dance, finding it hard to believe his sincerity. As Gone watched him, Wenhui reacted with discomfort, complaining about the pain. Wenhui, on the tiled ground, spoke of their first meeting just 4 hours earlier as he pressed about teaching the Tempest dance for their legacy, accusing him of only planning one lesson. Wenhui appeared startled by a sudden vision of his past self. He realized Wenhui had provoked him into the wager to prove his worth, and Gone was unable to deny it. Gone scrutinized Wenhui, realizing he had hidden his true wits and power all along. As Gone stared intently, Wenhui appeared nervous and confused, wondering what was happening, and Gone thought that, like the shadow shroud step, it should have been impossible for the Wenhui he knew to perform. Gone, deep in thought, suspected Wenhui had been secretly gathering his energy for a long time, only now revealing it for the Dark Supreme's visit, which Wenhui agreed it. Gone, with a look of surprise, realized this was truly a cunning plot to betray their family. A thought emerged in Wenhui's mind, acknowledging that while it was a compliment, it still felt strange to hear. Wenhui looked slightly irritated as 2 floating ghosts praised his knack for provoking people, and how the master now recognized his true worth, and wondered if those lingering spirits wanted to be turned into spirit pills. Wenhui pressed Gone to teach him, as Gone paused in thought. With a slight smirk, Wenhui stood while the 2 ghostly figures floating beside him affirmed that his persuasive words and unique technique made people loyal to him as he decided to gather the spirit pills. Wenhui, his cunning unveiled, looked over his shoulder and confirmed his readiness, as a kneeling man begged for mercy. Looking down thoughtfully, Gone declared he would now properly instruct Wenhui in the Tempest dance. Gone looked forward with a serious face, considering Wenhui's true intentions. As the man looked down, Wenhui's eyes were visible, leading into the next moment. Wenhui stated that he was from the Tang clan, asking for Gone's teachings. Upon hearing it, Gone smiled, as he was the dedicatee of him. In the courtyard, Gone, the fierce wind warrior of the Tempest squad, agreed to Wenhui's request. As Wenhui's foot stepped onto the ground, Gone explained that this new martial art was unlike any he had learned before that the Tempest dance, as Gone's foot kicked up dust. As his training in the Tempest dance began, Gone's foot struck the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave as he expressed how hard it would be to learn so fast. Wenhui looked surprised, questioning if their wager continued, while the master, smiling widely, proposed a new bet on Wenhui learning the technique by day's end. As the Wenhui kept smiling, the master declared the loser would treat the winner to a meal and drinks. Gone sighed, reflecting on Wenhui's surprising nature. Gone smiled confidently, as the Wenhui declared he would finally win their wager for a meal this time. Gone looked determined as the martial master commanded him to watch closely. The martial master moved swiftly across the tiled floor, creating a faint blur and sound, while Wenhui began his training, the former Tempest squad members, bound by a promise not to interfere with the family head's inheritance, would inform others, even if Tang couldn't openly endorse him as the true heir. When we looked up, his face set with fierce resolve. This was the dawn of the new Tempest. As the demonstration began, a swirling vortex of energy formed on the tiled floor. He silently considered that losing the wager wouldn't trouble him. After their shared meal, shown by empty plates, Wenhui believed his growing strength would help everyone. The empty plate was all that remained from their wagered meal. Wenhui frustratingly considered how Gon still had not shared even a single drink as promised. At the dining table, the smiling waiter asked the distressed Gon if he needed anything else, and he called for another bottle, unable to watch the demonstration without it. Wenhui ate. He remarked on his companion's drinking skill, and wondered if they should have gone to Dragon Tower. From his meal, Wenhui looked up, affirming that it certainly seemed to be the case. Gon drank from a bottle, complaining that Wenhui's appetite had cost him a week's food budget. Wenhui thought that an expensive place like Dragon Tower would not suit his plans for their wagered meal. Seated at the wooden table nearby, Wenhui knew a bustling place like this was necessary. Wenhui's hand touched a glowing purple symbol, knowing he could no longer delay his plans despite Namgung Sanyang's 2-month ban. Suddenly, a glowing symbol appeared on Wenhui's hand, which he knew was a communication spell from the demon god, as he questioned if he had come to this place to leave such a mark. With a determined face and spectral figures nearby, he felt compelled to inform those still in despair. From above the traditional building, the spiky purple spider realized 10 days had passed with no suspicious activity, as he wondered how much longer it had to keep watch. The spiky purple spider's face filled the view, seeming to wonder about something. Gyujin walked away from a traditional building, making a spiky purple spider wonder if her uniform belonged to the Qingqing sect, as he wondered about her connection to the Tang clan. A small spider on a tree branch realized the blue-robed woman was Tang Gyujin. The spiky purple spider, watching Gyujin, thought conflict would arise if she met the Namgung wife's daughter, and thought of a daughter, and hoped she was safe. The spiky purple spider's determined face confirmed that this was not the moment for any hesitation. A spiky purple spider leaped from a tree branch, streaking downwards. The spiky purple spider slammed into the building, hoping to earn the junior lord's goodwill for a favor. As the small, red-eyed creature streaked down, it looked surprised when asked if it meant to hurt its mother. The determined spider's descent led to a traditional room, where Gyujin and Matriarch were angrily confronted about Wenhui being repeatedly harmed and imprisoned. The Matriarch dismissed Gyujin's worries, explaining that someone secretly provided for the individual, and told her to focus on the Dark Sovereign's visit schedule. After its leap, Gyujin's hand slammed down on a table. Gyujin, glowing with a dark aura, furiously asked if that was why Wei was treated so badly. The distressed Matriarch angrily questioned the fuss over a mere bastard and their right to call themselves her child. With a determined look, Gyujin told her mother she hadn't changed and would reveal the truth. So, Gyujin turned away while the Matriarch frantically begged her to wait. The Matriarch sat alone and distressed, internally worrying that someone's strong moral compass, especially since joining the Qingqing sect, made them unsuitable for a successor position. The spiky purple spider sat confused on the surface, wondering how it would report its findings. The Matriarch furiously rejected the notion that the family's problems were entirely the fault of a bastard son, declaring there was no need to wait for the Dark Sovereign. She walked across the patterned floor, letting anyone nearby know she was heading out, and from high above, the spider watched her depart, worrying she was leaving because of the junior lord. On the floor amidst red splatters, the spider believed that she was leaving to meet a sorcerer. Meanwhile, Wenhui was frustrated, realizing 10 days had passed with no results from her summoning mark at the tavern. He wondered why even the Divine Fire Sect's contact in Jiulong County lacked the deployment details. Wenhui moved swiftly, thinking the contact might have pulled back or was unable to act freely due to some limitation. He continued his swift movements, realizing the situation looked grim for everyone and that he desperately needed to become stronger. Gon praised his good work, noting his skill at copying weapon techniques, and Wenhui asked if he remained mad. Gon spoke, questioning why a Tang clan member would learn weapon skills before poison arts, as he showed his frustration, thinking the Tang clan was far too narrow-minded. Wenhui explained that the staff technique he was practicing belonged to the Tang clan, and clarified why it had been divided into sections. Gon looked up, silently considering everything. Wenwu asked if he had already noticed his quick learning ability, and Gon was annoyed and told him that he needed to learn some humility. Many martial arts sects express their understanding by creating different forms. It was clear how some signature moves became overly complicated. However, the Tang clan was famous for their assassination and poison arts. A gourd emitting green smoke and various sharp throwing tools lay on the ground, showing that other martial arts used such implements, and that the Tang clan's signature techniques were indeed divided into pieces. Therefore, the Tang clan's martial arts have broken their signature technique into parts, so that no matter what tool was used up, they could move to the next tool. The Tang clan's martial arts were practical, not flashy at all, and they make up for it in practicality. As the two men continued their martial arts practice, Wenwu sought guidance on his balance for a specific staff movement from Gon. Wenwu pondered how the Tang clan's system formed the foundation for their effective assassinations and poison arts. The blue sideburns man reflected that his master's Heavenly Demon's Nine Swords technique was also divided into pieces, but realized the Tang clan's weapon arts might help him master it. The Tang clan's weapon art system may come in useful when using the Heavenly Demon's Nine Swords, and this approach could help him more effectively use his master's incredible sword technique. Gon watched Wenwu smirk, deciding that learning assassination and poison arts would have to wait, and then Gon asked what he was mumbling right now. Gon told him that Lady Gyujin was here, hinting at their close connection. En and Wenwu reacted to news of Lady Gyujin's arrival, thinking deeply about her name. Thinking of Lady Gyujin, he recalled his older sister, the only one who truly treated him like family, smiling in a cherished memory. Gon sat at a large table, reading papers and hoping for a good relationship between Gyujin and him. However, he wondered if Gyujin would still side with him when he became enemies with Namgung Sanyong. Gon told him to go greet the clan elders today, and the Wenwu agreed. As he exhaled, thinking it would be difficult, deciding to quickly begin his task before Gyujin's arrival, Wenwu was asked by Gon if he would start today. Wenwu smirked, explaining he had already completed the task. Over the expansive traditional compound, Yuchan asked if someone had been tirelessly making pills for the past 10 days. As the servant bowed low in the traditional building, he affirmed that he was indeed correct. Beginning his difficult task, Yuchong placed a small bag on the floor, acknowledging the good work, and the man lifted his head towards the bag, expressing his gratitude. As the bowing man walked away from the building, Yuchong called out his name, Muyong. Sitting at a low desk, Muyong questioned if his only role was to manage this situation, and Yuchong agreed. Yuchong gave instructions that their target had been consuming madness poison for 10 days. Yuchong thought it would be difficult to fully recover before the Dark Sovereign arrived. While they sent Gon to train outdoors, as he observed that Gon was surprisingly dedicated to his teaching and considered that it took him 8 days to learn the shadow steps. Yuchong scoffed internally, doubting the bastard son could learn much before the Dark Sovereign arrived. He pondered that the elder sister was the real issue, as he heard that Gyujin had fought fiercely with their mother upon her return. Yuchong at the window worried their current plans might face a problem, and thought Gyujin should become the Nine Dragons branch family's official successor once she turned 30. He watched the vibrant sunset, feeling that she possessed too much empathy to become the Tang clan's branch family leader, and thought back to how his elder sister had gone straight to the Qingqing sect without learning the Tang clan's martial arts. He thought that despite all the difficulties, his elder sister had become the Nine Dragon branch family's successor. Yuchong smirked, convinced he was the rightful successor. A voice informed young Master Yuchong that a letter from the White Pavilion had arrived, and he quickly ordered that the White Pavilion be allowed inside. A startled Hyungsum held young Master Wunwai's letter for him, as the Yuchong impatiently demanded that it be handed over. An aggressive message arrived in a letter, challenging him to a fight. Yuchang's face twisted in anger and shock, wondering if the madness was already affecting the bastard, as he worried it might be a trick orchestrated by someone else. Yuchong wondered if the letter was poisoned to make him furious, and realized it was something readily available within his clan. Yuchong opened the letter, realizing it held no secret contraption. He understood the letter was simply a provocation. The letter inviting him to fight to resolve their differences as brothers. Yuchong suspected the bastard son was planning some sort of trick, and inwardly resolved to use the letter's sender as a stepping stone for his rise before the Dark Sovereign's visit. Yuchong instructed that the sender be told he received the letter and would not accept the duel. Hyungsum confirmed his complete understanding of him. An hour later, the situation progressed. As the scroll was held open, and the letter contained if he was scared, Yuchong chuckled and thought that Wunwi must be in a hurry. Yuchong, seated at his desk, told Hyungsum to reject future White Pavilion letters. The next morning, a new day dawned. Yuchong stood looking at two figures in the distance, his face filled with rage, as he ordered someone to deliver a message to the White Pavilion. With surging anger, he declared a new time and place for their duel, vowing to utterly humiliate his opponent. The blue-robed man's provocative message had been delivered. The staff asked why their opponent had initially refused the duel, only to accept it. As they continued their conversation, Gon probed how he provoked his brother, leading Wunwi to mock his brother's impatience. Wunwa smiled and asked if he wouldn't be stopped. Winking and chewing on a piece of straw, Gon explained there was no reason to stop things, as the most entertaining fight was about to begin. While Wunwi was ready to clash with his brother, then clarified that they would only injure his brother, not fatally. From a traditional East Asian building, Gyujin was surprised to learn that Yuchong would duel Wunwi. Gyujin confronted him in the traditional setting, demanding to know what was happening. Yuchong angrily shouted that Wunwi had provoked him first, and any complaints should go to that person. Gyujin looked shocked, realizing Wunwi had made the first move. Gyujin hurried to the White Pavilion, which pulsed with power, and looked at its entrance. As a mysterious energy filled the area, she wondered about the strange, dark powers they sensed. As Gyujin walked deeper into the purple-filled White Pavilion, a certainty settled within them. Inside the pavilion, a ruffled figure observed many lingering traces of purple energy that stained the walls and ceiling, and she realized that death and poison energies had spread widely. Considering the strong energy around, Gyujin believed this to be the home of a martial artist. The strange aura filled the entire area with a powerful presence, and a shadowy figure stood in the strange light, and she watched with intense eyes. Gyujin reacted with surprise to the ghostly power, and she moved her arm swiftly, and to her surprise, Wunwi was already behind her. Wunwi managed to block her sword using one hand. Gyujin's face filled with surprise as he could only gasp in utter disbelief. So she confronted Wunwi, asking if he was why. Wunwi held up his hand, calling his elder sister's greeting violent. Gyujin, sword in hand, frantically apologized, explaining her attack had been unexpectedly halted. Wunwi realized that Gyujin's unexpected entry had disturbed their crucial inner poison energy cultivation. He was worried that exposing his current poison and inner energy to Yuchong would ruin his plan, and he wondered if Namgung Sanyong had sent her here before his fight. Wunwi looked worried after his cultivation was disturbed. Gyujin shared her concern about their mother's harsh treatment, and she smiled, glad to see he was doing well. Wunwi reflected that his sister's concern was mirrored in Gon. Then, Wunwi remarked that she didn't seem to be an envoy from the Grand Matron. While clutching his aching head, she grew concerned about the strange energy he emitted, asking if he had turned to a darker path. He displayed the energy in his hand, asking if she meant the poisonous power he had learned. The distressed Gyujin, clenching her fist, seemed horrified by the dark energies she sensed. Wunwi clenched his fist, confirming the energy was a cursed poison. As he explained, the strange energy was a mix of mystic power and poison, designed to look cursed, and he thought the cursed poison was needed to hide his mystic power and divert suspicion. Gyujin questioned him about his choice of cursed poison, and he explained he could only use this poison to channel his power without clan support. With only his foot visible, he explained that as a Tang clan member pursuing strength, he would naturally use everything at his disposal. He stood in a powerful stance amid scattered debris, challenging anyone who was still dissatisfied to overcome him. Gyujin looked with wide eyes, expressing her surprise at how much he had changed. Wunwi showed his sister the mysterious power he used, and he inwardly worried that if Gyujin still viewed him as the same person, her protection would cause problems, as he knew that he needed to draw a firm line, even if it hurt their relationship. Her expression was clear as he agreed that he had indeed changed. With a sinister smile, she explained that his new ways were why their mother and Yuchong were so cautious of him. His sharp face tightened as he found his sister's words extremely provoking. Wunwi's gaze hardened with resolve as he sensed the intense and deadly power from her. Gyujin chuckled, seemingly surprised by the turn of events. Gyujin stood surrounded by a strange, patterned power that revealed her spiritual root, and the source of her power was the blue ghost face root. A concerned Wunwi, sweating, remembered the many old rumors. The narrative shifted to explain how Gyujin, the Nine Dragons branch family's first successor and a great figure in Sichuan, had achieved her status, and the Qingqing sect's tall sign marked its home among the mountains. Her path led to becoming a Qingqing sect disciple. This powerful spiritual root demanded a complete transformation, granting its possessor unmatched talent. However, the spiritual root is a root of the spirit, as its name suggests. But this spiritual root, as its name implies, affects the spirit itself. That is why the spiritual root grows with the cultivation of the soul, and this is something that aligns a lot of principles with the training methods of the Qingqing, which puts emphasis on cultivating the mind. Most importantly, the blue ghost face root is a spiritual root that thrives on conflict. With a sinister smile and surging power, Wenhui explained her talent, now mixed with the Tang clan's belief that might was always right, that Gyujin would transform into a relentless death demon. Wenhui told her he couldn't comment on his energy when hers was so strong. As she gripped her sword and offered her apology, she then bowed, explaining she had forgotten her reason for coming and was sorry for drawing her sword and interrupting his training, and bowed deeply, offering her apology. As she bowed in the room, making him realize she had effortlessly pulled back her spiritual root's power. So he considered his sister's self-control before offering her tea. Taking a sip from her teacup, Gyujin was pleasantly surprised, and she noticed its new flavor. So he explained its special source, and she was surprised that he was knowledgeable about tea. From off-panel, she announced that she had brought something. Wenhui recognized the candied fruit skewers as Miss Han's famous treat. Gyujin offered him candied fruit, asking if he enjoyed it. As Gyujin sat in contemplation, he privately considered that he wasn't fond of sweet things himself. He continued his thought, resolving to show his thanks to Wenhui as he started to eat it, and told her that it was good. Looking surprised and happy, the Gyujin expressed her great relief as she smiled brightly, pleased by what he had brought. Wenhui thought he just couldn't get used to this, unable to believe that the person before him was the same one who had exuded such killing intent not long ago. As they sat at the low table, Wenhui asked her about the true reason for her visit, and if she was there to stop his duel against Yu Chong, which was set for the next day. Looking down, she admitted that stopping his duel was one of the reasons for her visit. Sitting at the low table, she explained she had initially come to offer an apology, thinking of all the hardships their mother and Yu Chong had caused him. But Wenhui said her apology wouldn't make him forgive the others. Distressed Gyujin as she accepted his point, but still wished to apologize as she looked down with a remorseful expression, offering a deep apology. Wenhui covered his eyes and let out a frustrated sigh as he stated that he wouldn't change his mind about the duel. She confirmed her purpose was to stop the duel, believing he was being pressured as he suggested Yu Chong was being swept along by his will. Gyujin was concerned whether the duel would be alright, even with his great power, because Yu Chong was very strong, and explained that she had heard Yu Chong was preparing something else against him. Wenhui then realized his sister knew about Namgung Sanyong and Yu Chang's intention to harm him, but not their specific method. But Wenhui confidently drank from his cup, explaining he had prepared himself too. He internally mused about the madness, poison, and toxic cinnabar he had been fed, as he expected him to be instantly destroyed once their magic was unleashed. Gyujin warned him that even if he defeated Yu Chong, he could not ignore the power that Yu Chong and their mother held in the clan. Wenhui clenched his hands, thinking about what would happen if Chong lost, knowing his mother would conceal the truth at any cost. Sitting and smiling, Wenhui told his elder sister not to worry, explaining he was the one who wanted this duel, as he invited her to watch the duel at the second martial stage the following day. Gyujin and Erupt agreed to join, which surprised her as well. The next day, the scene moved to the second martial stage. With the duel set, a large crowd gathered at the second martial stage, buying food and placing bets on the second young master's quick victory. Surprised, Gyujin asked Wenhui if he was aiming for something, as he smiled mischievously behind her, holding skewers. With a mischievous smile, Wenhui believed this outcome would be undeniable, even to the Grand Matron. At the martial stage, he looked at Yu Chong, who sat looking down while two others stood nearby, as he remarked about Yu Chong. As the duel was about to start, Yu Chong looked distressed and infuriated at the same time. Holding a skewer, the mischievous Wenhui smiled, believing it was his role as the older brother to help. A large crowd gathered at the traditional complex, ready for the impending duel. From inside the building, Gon observed the many people who had gathered. Tang commented that young Master Wunwei was certainly causing a stir, and beside him was Tang Jin, and Gon asked if they were there to watch. But Tang explained they were on duty as they needed to keep the duel peaceful and prevent any trouble. Still smirking, Gon questioned his companions about the duel's likely victor. As they sat at a low table, Tang commented that even with help, Wunwei had only had 10 days, and Tang Jin was certain that Yuchong would win the duel. Gon looked to the side, agreeing that everyone present was likely thinking the same thing about the duel's outcome, and Tang reminded him that Wunwei had arranged the duel. Gon then mused on whether it made them curious about what Wunwei was planning. Sitting outdoors, Yuchong asked the servant if that was everything. The servant explained that Wunwei had spread word of the duel and opened the gates for everyone, and Yuchong stated that the duel was merely to put the illegitimate brat in his proper place, as the servant stood by looking distressed. Someone wondered what had the younger brother so agitated. Yuchang's face tightened in anger. Wunwei's mocking words questioned if he was nervous without the Grand Matron, while Wunwei looked out at the figures on the distant platform. Wunwei smirked, taunting his opponent to bring the Grand Matron to accompany him, as he would be waiting. With an angry face, Yuchong demanded to know where such crude speech had been learned, as he wished the rudeness would stop spreading to him. Then Wunwei told him to stop as he called him a mama's boy and would listen to kind and polite words. Yuchong got infuriated and told Yuchong to stop. The enraged Yuchong shouted a harsh insult at the shocked, older man. Fueled by rage, Yuchong descended with immense force. Yuchong roared with rage, challenging Wunwei to come out so he could deal with his disrespectful words. At the outdoor arena, the crowd started to wonder why Yuchong appeared first when Wunwei was the challenger. Wunwei confidently walked forward, telling his raging brother he was too easily provoked and only making things easier. Standing ready for the duel, Wunwei and Yuchong faced each other before the grand building. Stepping forward, Wunwei smiled, introducing himself as him from the White Pavilion and hoping for a good match. Yuchong questioned his sudden politeness, who then smirked and asked if he was nervous. Yujin realized Wunwei had provoked Yuchong with silent taunts and thought he should have held his temper as the one challenged. The audience compared Wunwei to Yuchong that he had more manners than him, and Yujin noticed that with that act, Wunwei had flipped the public's opinion and made it seem like he was the one accepting the challenge. But in the end, the result of the duel is what matters, as she observed that Wunwei looked confident, and she described Yuchong as the dark shadow genius, a promising talent in the Tang clan, and he was not lightly to be taken. With confident, sinister expressions, Yuchong scoffed at Wunwei's taunts, while Wunwei dared him to stop talking and fight. Yuchang's face radiated immense force as he declared they would begin the duel immediately, just as his opponent wished, and he prepared himself without caring what tricks might be hidden. Yuchong suddenly moved with great speed, making it clear that things would not go his opponent's way, startling Wunwei to be startled. An explosion created a thick smoke screen, making it impossible for the observers to see anything. Wunwei looked forward with a serious expression, realizing his opponent had deployed a smokescreen bomb, as he considered how using shadow energy in such an open space was not the best strategy. As the duel was declared, Wunwei stood firm, his eyes fixed ahead as he noted that his brother did not recklessly charge forward. Amidst the lingering smoke, Wunwei prepared for what came next while Yuchong adopted a focused stance, poised to act. Wunwei thought his opponent, who had called him names, had attacked him from behind without hesitation. He reflected that this strategy was precisely what he expected from the Tang clan, and Yuchong lunged aggressively with his attack. But then, Wunwei smiled as he identified the move as the shadow step, causing Yuchong to be startled. Amidst the thick smoke, Wunwei smiled confidently and reminded his brother that he had learned the shadow step technique from Tang Gon. The intense man expressed his surprise at Wunwei's mastery of the shadow step as he questioned whether he still shared their father's blood despite his mother's low birth. But shadow step was only a technique that complemented shadow ki. The man's power swelled, radiating around him. Yuchong was ready to demonstrate what his opponent had forgotten. His eyes glowed intensely, ready for his next move as the true power of his abilities was about to be revealed. Then, Yuchong uses the shadow ki technique as he moves faster. He thought about a technique that could make one melt into the shadows, and this technique made it impossible for anyone to detect him by sound or sight. Wunwei's face showed him realizing why Yuchong was called the Dark Shadow Genius. He found it difficult to see his foe in the shadows as Wunwei stood in the arena, amidst the swirling shadow effects, and looked up. However, he realized something new. Yuchong lunged forward, radiating dark power from his outstretched hand. He showed great effort, charged closer with surging power. Then he unleashed a powerful sweeping attack, creating a shockwave, but Wunwei kept his distance. Yuchong struck fiercely, radiating his shadowy power. While Yuchong started to attack those clones, Wenhui's glowing pupil reflected his brother as he pitted him, proving that his special sight could pierce through any shadow. Against the abstract background, Wenhui prepared to share an honest thought, calmly noting that his murderous intent was undeniably clear and believing he could sense his location even without his special sight. Tang appeared and remarked on Wenhui's surprising mastery of the shadow step technique, while they also observed Yuchang's stronger shadow ki, wondering if it was the result of his training. Tang Jin questioned whether Wenhui planned to simply dodge within the smoke. But Tang looked serious, talking about what would happen even after the smoke cleared, and thought that Wenhui was simply delaying if he lacked a finishing move. Boasting that he taught Yuchong a powerful finishing move, them to be surprised, and Jin wondered if he had truly exceeded what the Grand Matron requested. From the balcony, Gon questioned why his companion had so little faith in their fighter, as they confidently remarked that they knew their opponent best. As the smoke cleared, the bright, mystical martial stage with its traditional buildings came into view from behind a wall. As the smoke cleared and light filled the stage, Yuchong erupted in rage, furiously calling him an illegitimate rat as he unleashed dark energy. Yuchong realized his shadow ki was becoming difficult to use as the smoke dissipated, and considered that he had originally planned to just injure him. And he repositioned himself. Yuchang's shadowy, robed figures attacked the central form with a relentless barrage as he declared that dodging with shadow step would be useless, and he was confident that he couldn't escape them inside the ring. Wenhui found himself surrounded by charging attackers and flying projectiles. Yuchang's rage intensified as he brutally cursed him. Wenhui looked up as his energy surged, and Yuchong declared it was the downpour of pear blossom needles. Meanwhile, Yujin looked over her shoulder with a worried expression, realizing that Yuchong intended to kill Wenhui. As his rage intensified, Wenhui stood on the patterned floor, now radiating immense power. With a sinister grin, Wenhui declared it was time to quickly end the duel. As his rage intensified, Wenhui was engulfed in swirling power and glowing lines, which created a powerful wind. This caused the audience to be shocked and made them question its intensity. Bracing against the powerful, swirling wind, Yuchong realized it was a wild wind technique. Yujin closely observed Wenhui's form. Finally understanding the technique, he had learned that powerful energies had previously hidden. Wenhui stood, surrounded by his powerful swirling wind, and he confirmed that the powerful technique was the wild wind dance. Then Yuchong was shocked to recognize the wild wind dance. The wild wind's force pushed Yuchong back, making him brace himself in disbelief. Yuchong looked distressed and surprised, admitting that even he and his sister could never master the wild wind dance. Still visibly shocked, Yuchong questioned him about how he learned the technique. A close-up on Wenhui's smirking face showed him explaining that his skills were thanks to a good martial instructor. Wenhui lunged forward, radiating power, ready to show his appreciation. His swift movement created a powerful impact, scattering light and debris. Yuchong looked up with a serious expression, taking in the unexpected display of skill as he summoned his technique, the wild wind dance. Wenhui extended his arm forward, his power surging. Wenhui unleashed his powerful new move, the wild wind explosion. Yuchong didn't imagine how powerful that was, as he screamed in agony. This caused him to be pushed off the stage. Yuchong was left defeated on the cracked ground. Two men looked on in shock, realizing Yuchong had lost to Wenhui with just one strike, and he could hardly believe the battle was over in one move. From above, the massive crowd watched the figure on stage, completely shocked by the huge upset. Meanwhile, Tang on the balcony questioned Gon about Wenhui's knowledge of the wild wind dance, and Gom declared he indeed had a finishing move. Tang angrily told the other not to dismiss the matter so easily, but Gon calmly declared he would not be defeated. Looking forward with a slight frown, Gon asked for their thoughts, wondering if the wind technique was different from what they knew. But Tang asked if Wenhui's wind skill matched the branch heads, and Gon noted that Wenhui's impressive talent in mastering the wild wind so quickly, suggesting he was certainly someone to keep an eye on. From the balcony, Gon remarked that Wenhui's claim to inherit the wild wind squad was just talk, wondering how he could hold such low expectations. Then Gon looked surprised, wondering why the powerful wind still surrounded him. Wenhui faced his sister, who held a sword, and called out to her. With a sly smile, Wenhui looked forward, daring his sister to also duel him despite his supposed flaws. With wide eyes, Gyujin gasped in surprise. A shocked people realized it was his sister, the Nine Dragons branch family's heir. The surprised woman turned her head slightly, admitting he was right after seeing it for herself, while the others realized her return from Qingqing coincided with the Dark Sovereign's visit, and that they had not recognized him after so many years had passed. A man in the observing crowd wondered if his powerful wild wind dance would lead to yet another duel, and the other man wondered if that was indeed the great prodigy, Gyujin. With bright light shining, the excited crowd realized the next battle would be on an entirely different scale, exclaiming how fortunate they felt that day and expressing surprise at witnessing the thousand-petal beauty skill. From the platform, Gyujin gazed up at him with a worried expression. From the balcony, Jean noticed that the situation below was getting intense, and Tang Te asked Gon if Wenhui truly had a chance. A close-up on Gon's face revealed his thought that Wenhui was not yet skilled enough to face her, as he wondered what he was planning. Gon with intense eyes believed Wenhui's victory over Yuchong would be enough to raise his standing within the branch family. As he pondered Wenhui's duel, he knew that victory could mean succession while defeat would only elevate his sister, and he thought that even she realized this was a mistake for Wenhui. Meanwhile, Gyujin wondered about Wenhui's thoughts, realizing she couldn't let the clan's honor be stained by backing down with so many watching. A monstrous shadow, partially concealing a distressed figure, taunted her to be less considerate since Wenhui had started the fight, sensing her eagerness for battle and urging her to be honest and follow her instincts. With gritted teeth and hands clutching her head, the distressed Gyujin cried out in protest, knowing his suffering meant his protection should matter more than the clan's name. When all of a sudden, Wenhui asked what had her thinking so hard. With a knowing smirk, Wenhui told his worried sister that it was just a friendly duel, and she was worrying too much and stated that she could simply enjoy the show. Upon hearing it, Gyujin wondered if he could truly enjoy this. Looking out at the landscape, Gyujin felt it was hard to hold back anymore. But then, Gyujin stepped on the stage. With the crowd watching, Gyujin dramatically stepped onto the arena stage. Gyujin moved with immense force, causing the ground to crack. With an intense expression, she loudly declared her identity as Tang Gyujin, successor of the Tang clan's 9-dragon branch family and a Qingqing sect disciple, proclaiming her 5 years of training under monk Wu Ho and her mastery of powerful techniques. Standing on the tiled floor, she announced that the martial realm had granted her the title of Thousand-Petal Beauty, declared her readiness for the duel, and expressed her hope for an honorable fight. He introduced himself as Tang Wenhui, the second child of their 9 Dragons branch family, confidently explaining that he had learned the wild wind dance from Tang Gon and asking his sister to show her full strength. As the crowd watched from afar, an announcement declared the duel was officially ready. Wenhui told his sister she seemed delighted, to which she replied that it had been a while. Gyujin smiled broadly, her eyes glowing unnervingly as her sharp teeth gleamed, declaring how long it had been since she had felt so excited. Wenhui then questioned if she was getting too excited, and she excitedly agreed that she couldn't help but feel delighted. Gyujin then affectionately called out to Wenhui as her gloved hand clasped the sword's hilt, while her other hand tightened. Gyujin's woman aggressively declared that he wanted to duel his big sister. Wenhui, surrounded by dark energy, declared it was time to begin. Smiling confidently, the dark-eyed man then asked his sister if she was ready for their duel. With glowing blue eyes and a sinister grin, Gyujin eagerly confirmed her readiness. Gyujin rushed forward to attack, eager to begin, while Wenhui braced himself. Impacted by her immediate strike, Wenhui jokingly asked his sister for a head start. After being struck, Wenhui performed the powerful wind dance, the cutting north winds technique. Gyujin lunged with her sword, and though Wenhui managed to block, she recognized the precise technique he had used to defend himself before. Wenhui's powerful attack sent Gyujin flying, making her realize she could now unleash her full strength. After the initial strike, Gyujin rapidly moved across the ground. Gyujin advanced with a sword and a fierce smile, reminding Wenhui that he had asked her to fight seriously and enjoy the duel. Wenhui watched, observing her incredible speed, then decided on his next move. Wenhui used the shadow key technique, moved with incredible speed, leaving shadowy afterimages across the floor. Gyujin was astonished, seeing him even use Yu Chang's technique. Gyujin smiled widely and menacingly, entirely unfazed, as if to declare the fight was far from over. As Wunwi moved with blurry speed, Gyujin declared his technique was still unfinished, and Wunwi grunted with the force of the impact. Wunwi then moved aggressively with blurred speed towards the distant Gyujin. With a sly smirk, Wunwi questioned the sheer force of Qingqing swordsmanship, but Gyujin stated that the technique wasn't Qingqing style. Gyujin smiled sinisterly, noting that he was still hiding his true power, and remarked that she too would keep her secrets. Looking determined, Wunwi decided on his next move. Smiling confidently, Wunwi radiated a powerful aura. With a determined expression, Wunwi powered up, ready to show his sister his full might. His next powerful move, the Poison Dragon Essence art, manifested as his aura swirled into the head of a dragon behind him, revealing the ghost dragon release. With an excited, wide smile, Gyujin knew this was it. So Gyujin moved through a swirling ring of power with his curved blade, and she realized something about the poison energy, also considering his power to involve ghost ki. A wide, sinister smile spread across Gyujin's face. As Wunwi unleashed his technique, Gyujin met his power, holding her sword ready, and thought she had yearned to fight against this specific power.